If you are wanting leads today, in terms of now business, the fastest way to do that is by booking meetings. So, not just any meetings, you want to be, of course, strategic with who you have meetings with. So, whether it's realtors, financial advisors, accountants, divorce lawyers, whatever your jam is, focus in on one to start with and just unleash the Kraken. I had no idea where I was going with that. But what I'm trying to say is now is the perfect time to line up a bunch of meetings because come the spring market, if you're going after realtors, they are the busiest in the spring market. So they're not as receptive to meetings as they are right now. And the other pro of doing it right now is the fact that you're going to fill your pipeline and it's going to give you momentum going into the spring and you're going to have a much better year starting off strong. So in this episode, Brandon and myself, we're leading training. It's actually one of our training snippets from our brokerage. We do this type of training Monday to Friday. So you're getting a sneak peek in terms of what we do for our training. And we're thinking about doing this style of content and maybe pumping out, maybe pumping out 2 episodes a week. So let us know, give us your feedback. We're only going to do this if you guys enjoy this type of content because we really go granular on this type of training. They're usually around 15 to 20 minutes in length. We like to keep it very, very short and to the point. So hope you guys enjoy this. We're going to go straight into the episode starting now.
Good to go. Okay. Yeah, so we did a little bit of a switcheroo today. We were going to go through the client journey drip campaign, but I figured we would switch it to how to build a list of referral partners today because that's probably a bit more adamant for some of you, just to get the ball rolling with reaching out to realtors, financial advisors, so that way you guys can get the meetings going. So we have a bit of a training here today. We're going to show you how to make a list with 3 different methods. And let's just dive right into it. And by the way, if you want a copy, I'm going to share my screen. If you want a copy of this Google Doc, it is now in Broker HQ. So you can head there now and follow along if you want, or you can just watch our screen here. So these 3 different strategies have been something that have worked well for both myself and Brandon. Number 3 is more of a new strategy that I'm actually testing out this week. But the tried and true methods for both of us that have worked are number 1 and 2. So very straightforward. Number 1, look at your current network first before doing any other different strategies. And the network is your warmest. So the whole idea is you want to establish a triangle of trust to be able to reach out to these realtors or FAs or whoever you're trying to reach out to. It's a lot easier to get the appointment when you can refer to someone when you do it. So to give you an example, if you have a list of referral partners that you currently work with that you're super tight with, you can easily just reach out to them and say, hey, I love working with you. I'm looking to partner with 1 to 2 more rockstar realtors like yourself. And I figured I'd ask you first since good people know good people. Is there anyone that comes to mind you'd recommend I connect with? And this works well because you're giving them a compliment and saying that you've been enjoying working with them, and it's not coming off too salesy. And a lot of people have had pushback on this because you're kind of worried about whether that referral partner thinks you're cheating on them. But in my experience with realtor partners and good referral partners, if they have an established business, they're not really going to be too jealous of this because they get it. Anything to add on that one, Brandon?
Yeah, I would just say like run this script a few times and figure out a way to say the general consensus in a way that you're comfortable with. Like I might say Rockstar or I might say like someone awesome like yourself. Just something that like actually sounds like the rest of the way you talk. With scripting, like you want to be really cautious not to just take someone's script and read it like a robot. You're just going to sound like an AI. So put it in your language, whether you shorten it, whether you make it longer, but the general take the essence of it, put it in your words, and become a student of your scripting. If you find something's working really well for you, write it down and take some notes on that. Whereas if you find like you feel awkward when you're doing one script, note that as well. The more reps you do, you will get better with each time, and especially if you're critical of yourself and pointing out where it goes wrong.
Yeah, I would even recommend partnering up with someone here in the group and just kind of run it by each other a couple times, just till it starts feeling natural and flows better. And like always, the phone is going to be your best way to do this, the highest conversion rate. I've done I've done both. I've done the phone not as much as I've done text. I just find it easier. I'm a big text guy, but phone's definitely a lot easier. Brandon, you're solely phone. I think the conversion rate's a lot higher.
Yeah, I do call, but like, you know what? I'll sprinkle in some text too. Like last week, I had a few realtors who didn't answer my calls, and I left voicemails and whatever. I hate leaving voicemails, but rather than call them again today, I just fired off text and just said, "Hey, hope you had a great weekend. Just want to touch base and see if you connected with anyone at open houses this weekend who needs a pre-approval." And I just copy and paste the same text, change the name on it, and blasted a bunch of them off.
Yeah, that's the nice part about that too, is you get it done so quick. You're not going to have as much responses, but it works. So the second thing you can do from there, like if you don't have a list of referral partners, you can also reach out to your database. And I know a lot of you here are building up that big database of emails. So you can do this through, again, calls, emails, or text. I've done emails in the past, a blast email through Yam, which is the one-to-one email software that we've talked about before. And all you're saying is, I'm looking to connect with a rockstar financial advisor and thought I'd reach out to my network for recommendations. Do you have someone in mind I should reach out to? And just keep it short, to the point, 1 to 3 sentences. And you do it this way to expect a response back to the email. You don't want to have anything else in there. You don't want to have like a fancy header from like a newsletter. Like you don't want to use MailChimp for this. I recommend using Yam because it is that one-to-one and it looks like you sent it to them directly. And this will get you a lot of responses. I find with financial advisors, not everyone uses one. So it's harder to get a big list of FAs, but you can use this for realtors or whoever else, like accountants, any referral partner for that matter.
Yeah, and if your list is under 50 people, I would even say do this as a text or a reason to call, or just type this, copy and paste the email. You don't necessarily have to use them. But yeah, if your list is small, you could do this as a reason to call outreach, and it's really effective that way.
All right. Any questions on the network piece before we go to number two? Pretty straightforward. Um, you should get a good list from doing just these two. And I would say your goal would be to get between 100 to 150 people on your list. Because if you really want to come out of the gate swinging, I highly recommend doing at least 100 meetings with referral partners. So for us, we both did over 100 realtor partner meetings right out of the gates. And that was within the first 90 days. Or sorry, we did it within like a 90-day period. So um, highly recommend doing that because all you really need is 3 to 5 solid referral partners and you've got a good stable foundation. Facebook strategy. So if you've exhausted your list and you have nothing else, then you go to number two, Facebook strategy. And I've done this in the past. A lot of mortgage brokers have started doing this. So the nice part is you can actually, I'll start off with the first point. Join local Facebook groups. I'll give you an example. Burlington Dads is one I joined who there's like, I forget how many people. There's a lot of people in that group, and there's always people posting questions for recommendations and stuff like that. So you can post your own. And a good example of one would be, hey everyone, if you were to sell your home today, who would you use as a realtor and why? So a lot of people might just tag a realtor or might just say their name, but some people will give in-depth responses. And from there, you're just going to want to create a spreadsheet, a simple spreadsheet that records the referral name, the person that recommended them, and what they said about them. So this is what I did. I created a spreadsheet, and from there, that's when I did my outreaches. And you can get a pretty big list from this, even from one group, like the Burlington Dads group. Like I probably had between 40 to 50 people on that list alone from that group. So another thing you can do is you can actually search in these groups as well for older posts. I did this for the financial advisors because it was just easier. I just looked at all of these recommendations from other posts and I just recorded the same list. So it doesn't have to be just from you posting this. It can be from older ones.
Yeah, and one piece to add to that is don't feel weird about stealing the data that way. I know some people are like, "Oh, I'm not comfortable because someone asked, like Andy asked the question, so Andy's going to reach out saying Tori recommended them." The simple truth of it is that like we know hundreds of mortgage agents and brokers who build these lists and then get to their phone and never sit down and do the prospecting. So people will spend a bunch of time mining data but never actioning
Yeah.
anything on it. So stealing their data or their first step and doing the action is just really properly doing the job. It's, you don't feel weird about doing it.
There was a good period of time, like for maybe 6 months, where a lot of brokers were doing this, but I haven't seen this in a while. And part of that's just the natural cycle of like people put training out there and then everyone kind of hops on it and does it at the same time. And then also there's a lot of brokers that have just left the industry just because of how it's been in the last couple of years. So I think now is a great time to do this. It's the start of the new year. People haven't done it in a while, so you're not gonna look like any other post in there. And yeah, I would do that. You're gonna have a pretty good list after number one and two. Number three is a newer strategy that I'm testing out right now. And basically, I have high hopes of this one because I've been nurturing a list on Instagram for quite a while. But how you want to start this is if you want to do it on social, it is the fastest, I think, to get the asks out there because it's you could just record a video over DM and send it to them. So the first thing you want to do is follow realtors in your market. And again, can be any referral partner. I found that FAs typically aren't on Instagram because a lot of them have rules around their licensing and where they can use their social or what social platform they can be on. So I just know a lot of them can't be on Instagram, but you can use LinkedIn, you can use Facebook Messenger. I'm bigger on Instagram, so I prefer using Instagram. I find it the best for DMs personally. So you're going to want to follow the referral partners in your market. You're going to add them to your favorites list. And this is an Instagram specific feature. If you guys want help on that, I can show you where to find that. But basically, you add them to your favorites list, which prioritizes their posts from anything they post, their stories. They're going to be top of mind in your algorithm and on your homepage. So that way, it's going to be easier for you to then engage with their stories, their posts, toss them some likes, some comments, just stay top of mind. And the first thing you want to do is when they follow you back, you're going to send them a video DM. So it can be anything, but I found the easiest is just having a personalized message that says, "Hey Bob, just reaching out to say thanks for the follow. I love X. I love how you posted about your baseball game yesterday." I'm just throwing something in there. Looking forward to connecting here and I don't know, just looking forward to staying connected here. Something super easy like that. Option two is what I do, and I offer a lead magnet right away. So my lead magnet is a completely different strategy, which we'll talk about in other trainings, but I just invite them to a an Instagram group, which is kind of like a Facebook group, but it's only one to many where I send a message to all of them. And it's a really cool way to foster a community in a group. And it's just for realtor partners or for realtors to join the group. And I invite them to the group right away. I say what the group's about and what the value adds are in that group. So at this point today, I'm at 372 realtors in that group, and I've been just depositing forever with value adds. I haven't actually taken from it yet in terms of asking for a meeting. So what I'm doing now is I created a poll last week and I asked them out of these three, like from a social media perspective, what are you struggling with most? And I gave them three options. And the top two options that I found people were voting for were it was they're struggling with consistency of posting and they didn't know what content to post. Those were both pretty even with how many people responded. And out of all the people that responded to that, there's about, I want to say, probably 40 to 50 realtors that I can see that voted for that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle back and do a one-to-one message over DM. And it's going to be a video, and I'm going to send them a link to a Loom training going over how to solve that problem. And from there, I'm going to follow up and ask for that meeting. And I'm pretty confident I should be able to get a decent amount of meetings from that. But that's a long-winded way of saying like you can create this however way you want to over social media. But the easiest way is to go with uh, the first two tips here, and then just nurture them and ask for the meeting over DM. But I would prefer doing it over video than text, like a text-based message or even voice note. Video is going to convert a lot more.
Yeah, and just to add to that, if you want to see how Tom's doing that, you can go to his Instagram page and join that community and follow along. It's a good idea just to get some ideas for your own content or to do your realtor email, certain things from there. Sometimes if I need a reason to call, I just go in there and steal whatever Tom did and use that as my reason. So yeah, like kind of just borrow from each other and use each other's pages and content as an incubator for ideas. There's not really a ton of like original thoughts in the mortgage space. It's a lot of just combining what other people do or seeing something in another industry and borrowing that for the mortgage space. So the imitation in the community sometimes when you're trying to create content and do other things feels inauthentic, but it's a really great way to find your voice and to get some clients along the way.